Hi, this is Leah with aswewalkalongtheroad.com, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to use Trello, which is an awesome tool for organizing. And you can use Trello to help you organize your homeschool materials. You can use Trello to help you organize your homeschool lesson plans, or even the things you need to do around your house and meal planning. As you can see, this is my opening Trello site. So if you go to Trello.com, you'll want to set up a free account. And there is a paid level of Trello. I only have the free account. So what I'm showing you and everything that I can do on this tutorial, you'll be able to do with the free account. So if you go to Trello.com and set up your free account, your opening page will now look like this, except that you are going to create all of these great boards that can help you to organize. Now, I've been using Trello for quite some time, and I use it for my weekly, daily to-do lists. I use it for meal planning. I use it for homeschool materials, and I use it for all of my blog-related stuff. So I have tons of Trello boards here that all have to do with different blog calendars or with different family things that we do. But you're going to start by creating one board, and I'm going to show you how to do that tonight. Now, there are different kinds of boards that you can create, and you can set up what level you want your board to be in, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that, but you can see how my boards are in different categories. I have some boards that are starred. I have, this one's just in a category I called My Boards. I have a blogging and business category, and you're going to be able to choose a category that you want your board to be in. So if you want to use it for your homeschooling, you might have a homeschool category, or for your daily to-do list, you might have that in a different category. So I'm going to show you how to do that also so that you can have multiple Trello boards and have them all nice and organized. I love Trello because it is very visual, and I'm a very visual person. And you can use Trello as a very visual organizational system. So I'm going to go into My Boards, and you'll see this gray box that says Create New Board. When you first log into your Trello account for the first time, you won't have anything except this gray box, Create New Board. So I'm going to click on Create New Board, and we're going to open up a little box that looks like this. It's going to let me title the board, and I'm going to title this board Practice, just because I'm showing you how to set it up. And it's going to ask you what team you want your board to go under. For me, I have my teams organized by family and blog and business. When I first started, I just chose none. I didn't have my boards organized by team. I've only done that more recently as I've gotten more and more boards. But you can either choose none, or you can set up different team categories that you want to put your boards under. So I'm going to choose none for this board. And then you can also choose to make your boards private or public. Right now, my boards are all private because I don't share them with any team members. If you wanted to, you could share your boards with your whole family. You could, if you have a business, you can share them with other team members from your business. And so you can make your boards public, and then everybody from the team can work on that board. But I'm going to leave this board as private because I'm not going to share it with anybody. So I'm going to click Create, and now I'll be taken to a new board. The default background color is blue, but I can change the background color. I click Change Background, and I can choose any of these backgrounds. If you pay for the upgraded Trello Gold or Business class, you can have other things like photos and patterns and textures, or even a picture that you upload, a custom picture. But I have the free version, and we have these 9 colors that we can choose from. So I'm going to make a board purple. I really like the purple color, and I've used that quite frequently. Now, once I've changed the background, I'm going to click the back arrow, and I'm going back to the menu. This menu is going to help me set up what else I need to set up for our board. If I wanted to add any members, like other members of the family that I wanted to be able to see this, I could add them by email. Or, like I said, if you had a team member that you wanted to work on with a business account, you could click to add them. You can also set up filter cards. We're going to talk about how to label your cards with different colors, and you might want to filter categories of cards to put in your board. Right now that's not very important because you don't have any cards set up yet, but when you have your cards set up with different labels, it might be important for you to put this in your filter card section and be able to filter out. And you can also choose to set up if you want to have things tell you when they're due, coming up, how much of a time frame that you want to give yourself to know that something's coming due. I usually leave mine for the default, or I set up my times when I set up my individual cards, and I will show you how to do that. So we're going to go back. The next category is power-ups. Power-ups are just different special things that you can use with your Trello boards, and the one that I always like to enable is the calendar, because if we have the calendar feature enabled, we're going to be able to see our Trello board as a calendar to be able to tell when things are due. You can use a few other power-ups if you're doing different things with your Trello boards, but I really like the calendar feature. Now I'm going to go back. You can also use stickers, and I have used stickers for different cards before to mean different things, but you can utilize the stickers if you like, and you can put them on different cards to show that things are completed or to show positive or negative. And I don't use stickers very often, but I have used them occasionally on different Trello cards that I create. Right now, we're not going to go into the more category. We'll go there in a little while. Right now, we're going to close out of the menu, and we're going to start creating some lists. So the Trello board is the big overview board. Within this board, we're going to have lists, and within these lists, we're going to be able to create cards. So we're going to make some lists. Let's say that we want to have a list of things to do around the house, and hit enter. And then we want to have a list of homeschool tasks to accomplish, things we need to get done with our homeschool, and enter. And we want to have a list of our daily to-do list. And we can add as many lists as we want to our board. It'll just keep going across, and we can add as many lists as we would like to add. But we're going to start with these three. Now within each list, we're going to add cards. So let's say that we need to write our homeschool calendar for the year. We need to set up our homeschool calendar. It's coming up in the summer months when we're going to start planning for next year. So we're going to set up our homeschool calendar. Now I'm going to type that card into my list and click enter to add it. And then I can go and do some special things with my card. So I'm going to click on the card, and now I can do a lot of cool things inside this card. I can add different team members if I have it set up so that other members of the family can look at my card. I can add a label, and I love to use labels because I can see the color and be able to tell at a glance the category that something is in. So let's say that we want to use green as our label to be the name of a certain child, so that every time we set up something in our homeschool to-do list about that particular child, that's going to have one color, a label. So we're going to call this child, child 1, and child 1 now has a green label. And we might have something that we need to set up for everybody, like the homeschool calendar. So we might want a label. Let's use the pretty dark blue, and we'll say this is whole family, this label. Now, because I set up child 1 as our first label, this is checked. Well, I don't want child 1 checked for set up homeschool calendar. That's something that involves the whole family, so all I have to do is click child 1 and it will deselect. Now my only label is whole family. Now when I look at my card from the front, I'm going to close it and show you, I can see at a glance that that label is on the card, and I'll know that that's something for the whole family, that involves something I need to do for the whole family. I'm going to open my card again and show you some of the other things you can add. If setting up my homeschool calendar takes more than one step, which it probably does, I can set up a checklist. This checklist, I can give it a title and click Add, and now I can add all of the steps that I need to take in setting up my homeschool calendar. I might need to mark vacation dates. I might need to mark testing dates. Let's say that I need to decide how many days of school. All of those could be parts of setting up the homeschool calendar. So now I have them on a checklist, and I can check off as each one is complete. It's going to keep showing me add until I click the X, and now it'll end the checklist. And if I want to go back later and add an item, I can click on add an item down here. As I do each one of these items on the checklist, it's going to be checked off for me, and it's going to show me how far I am in completing my entire checklist. You can also add a due date, and sometimes I like to use due dates and sometimes I don't. It depends on how flexible the thing is that I'm scheduling. For meal planning, I often don't use due dates. I just put the cards in the list that I want them to be in, and I might have different recipes in different lists, but they're not a particular due date. For things like setting up a homeschool calendar that I need to have accomplished by a certain time, then I'll put a due date. And so I'm going to say that I want it done by June 30th. And the default time is 12 p.m. So you can change that if you have a specific time of day. And then click Save. If I need to change the due date at any time, I can just click that again and change it. Or I can click Remove if I decide I don't need to have a due date for that particular item. Another thing that we can do to our card is add an attachment. And you can put any attachment that comes from your hard drive, from Google Drive, from Dropbox, and from other different programs. And you can attach those links directly to this card, which is really nice if you have something that you need to work on and there's a certain link or a certain file that you're going to need when you work on that item. So you can attach a link here. You can upload from your computer or from Google Drive, and you can actually put your files right here that you're going to need to work with. I love this, and I especially use the attach a link when I'm working on something that I need to go to a particular website to be able to use. There are some actions that we can do with this card once we create it. We can move it to a whole nother board. So if I have different boards set up and I decide this is on the wrong board, I can easily choose another board from my list and I can move this to another board. I can also copy it to another board. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to click Copy. Now I'll keep a copy of it here on the homeschool calendar board. On the homeschool schedule board. I can keep homeschool calendar on the homeschool schedule board, but I can also put it on another board as well. And this is really nice to do if you're going to have something on a particular board, like I'm having this in my homeschool schedule list, but I might want to move it to another board that has my weekly and daily to-do lists. So I can copy it and keep it on this list, but also have it on my weekly and daily to-do list. So the copy feature is really nice, allowing me to make however many copies of this particular card that I would like to make. We can also click the subscribe button if we want to remember this card. This is especially helpful if we're using different team members, and different team members need to subscribe to get notifications when something on that card changes. So if I have other members of the family that are using this same board and they want to know when I change something about Setup Homeschool Calendar, then they might want to subscribe to this card. I don't need to click subscribe if I'm the only one using it, because I'm going to come back here and look, I'm the only one making changes, so I won't need notifications. You can also archive the card once you're through using it, and the card is still saved in Trello, but it's not going to be out on your board anymore taking up space. So when you're through with that particular card and you've done everything on it, you can archive it. So we can add all of these things to our card that we created. We can do lots of different things with our card. We can add comments to let us know that we worked on that for a certain time or a certain day. Also in the comments, we can add links. We can attach files directly to the comment. So it's really nice to be able to go in here and let yourself know that you worked on something and remind yourself of when you did and what you worked on. So the next time you come and open up this card, you remember, especially if you're like me and you can't remember from day to day what you did on that particular card. So you have comments to help yourself remember. Now once you have your board is set up and you have your lists, you can move this card very easily from list to list on your board as well. It's just drag and drop. So if you wanted to have a completed column on your board, then when you completed something on your list, you could easily drop that in the completed column. And this is very nice if you're setting up a board with meal planning, because, and I'll show you my meal planning board and the way that I do it. My boards are all over here to the left. On my meal planning board, I have different categories of recipes. On the back of these cards are links to where the recipe is located, where I found that recipe. A lot of them are things that I marked on Pinterest, and then I put the link in to the card. When I decide what I'm going to cook this week, I can drag and drop from my different recipes over to this week and easily build a menu list for this week. It's pretty easy to print your boards. You have the option to print. You have the option to print either a card, or you have the option to print the whole list. If you want to copy your entire list somewhere, you can. So if you want to put this entire list on another board, you can do that. And the calendar feature, I was going to show you on the practice board that we created. Let me open my practice board. So let's set up another task. We have our homeschool calendar that we want to do, and then let's say around the house that we need to go to the grocery store, and we need to do that on a particular day, like maybe Thursday. And we're going to set that up with a due date. Now I have a couple of due dates. Now if I click this little calendar button that I enabled, I can see my board as a calendar. And instead of having lists, I now have a calendar featured. I can see the due date of go to the grocery store, and then later in the month when I had set up homeschool calendar, I can see that come up as well. So this is really nice if you like looking at a calendar, but you also like arranging your things visually by boards, because you can do either with Trello. And then we just click calendar again to go back to the regular list. So there's a lot of flexibility with Trello. I really like it, even though I'm not using it with a whole lot of team members right now, because it's a very visual program. I can easily move things from place to place, and I can access all my lists, all my different to-do lists in one place with one program. I also see how it could be extremely valuable if you do have a team of people set up, or even if you wanted to set it up with your entire family as your team and have everybody able to access all of the different lists and boards. So Trello is a very versatile, very useful organizer. And you can get started with Trello at Trello.com. Like I said, this is the free version. I haven't used the paid version. I do like some of the extra features like being able to use your own backgrounds, but so far I haven't needed very many of the other paid features, so I'm just using the free version. If you go to Trello.com, you can set up your own free account and you can get started making your Trello boards. I'm going to leave that link in the notes under this, and I'm also going to leave a link to a Trello tutorial at aswewalkalongtheroad.com. So thank you for watching and listening, and I hope Trello can be a very valuable tool for you.